In the vast and often chaotic world of the internet, a story can ignite, spreading like wildfire through faith communities and leaving a trail of awe, inspiration, and debate in its wake. This is one such story. It's a tale that has been watched and shared millions of times. A narrative so powerful and so perfectly dramatic that for many, it simply has to be true. The story goes that the air in a packed auditorium was thick with anticipation. On stage at an imagined Catholic film festival, two titans of modern faith-based film, Mel Gibson and Jonathan Roumie, were sharing a panel. But then, in an instant, something shifted. According to a flurry of viral videos and passionate online posts, Mel Gibson's knees buckled. This wasn't theatrical. It was depicted as the kind of sudden, frightening collapse that instantly silenced the room. A collective gasp is said to have rippled through the crowd as the legendary director, his face suddenly pale with shock, crumpled into a chair behind him. His head fell into his hands, and a sob reportedly escaped his lips. Moments before this, the story continues, Jonathan Roumie, the actor famous for his compelling portrayal of Jesus in The Chosen, had leaned into his microphone to deliver a message he claimed came directly from the Son of God. This dramatic account of a Hollywood legend being brought to his knees has become the stuff of modern Christian legend. But it's important to state clearly, the event as described in these viral posts is a work of fiction. It never actually happened. However, the fact that it isn't true doesn't make the story any less significant. In fact, it may make it more so. The real question isn't, did it happen, but why have so many people embraced it? What deep spiritual hunger does this powerful piece of modern folklore satisfy? We will deconstruct this incredible tale, separate the powerful fiction from the compelling facts that underpin it, and explore what the viral spread of this story tells us about faith, hope, and the search for miracles in the modern age. So what were the imagined words that were powerful enough to shatter a titan of Hollywood? And what does their impact reveal about our collective heart? In the fictional narrative that has captivated so many, the moment is painted with breathtaking detail. For a long suspended moment, there was only a stunned silence. The panel's moderator was frozen. The production crew in the wings stood motionless. The audience, according to the story, held its collective breath, sensing they were no longer just spectators at a film festival, but witnesses to something incredibly personal, raw, and sacred. The silence in this imagined scene is finally broken by a calm, authoritative voice from the audience. "Please, give him a space. I'm a doctor." A woman, later identified in some versions of the tale as a cardiologist, moves swiftly toward the stage. But by the time she arrives, Jonathan Roumie is already by Mel's side. The story emphasizes that the moment Gibson collapsed, Roumie shot up from his seat, his face a mask of profound concern. He isn't a fellow actor anymore. He is a brother offering comfort in a moment of spiritual chaos. He kneels beside Gibson's chair, placing a hand on his friend's shoulder, his lips moving in what appears to be silent prayer. This detail is crucial. It portrays Roumie not as a performer, but as a genuine vessel of the faith he represents on screen. The fictional doctor kneels, speaking in a low voice to Gibson and checking his pulse. The unspoken fears in the room, was it a stroke, a heart attack, are described as being almost palpable. After a minute that felt like an eternity, the doctor stands and addresses the moderator and the silent crowd. The reports claim she announced that his vitals were stable and he had not experienced a medical emergency. Then she delivers a line that serves as the story's first major turning point, a line that would echo across social media. What he is experiencing appears to be an episode of profound emotional and spiritual overwhelm. A collective sigh of relief gives way to a murmur of pure wonder. The moderator, recovering his composure, suggests a 15-minute break to give Mr. Gibson privacy. But in this powerful drama, the protagonist, Mel Gibson, who had remained crumpled in his chair, stirs. He lifts his head. His face is described as a wreck of emotion, with tears streaming down his cheeks, but his eyes are burning with a new, unquenchable fire. He slowly shakes his head. "No," he says, his voice raspy but strong enough to carry across the hall. "No break." With Roumie's help, he sits up straighter. I need to say something," Gibson insists, his voice gaining strength. "You all need to hear this. You have to understand what just happened here." The moment is electric. Here is a Hollywood legend, known for his grit and intensity, choosing to remain in a state of complete vulnerability, turning his personal breaking point into a public testament. This is the core appeal of the scene. It's the ultimate depiction of a strong man surrendering not to weakness, but to a power far greater than himself. It's a fantasy of faith made manifest, an image so potent that for many, it transcends the need to be factual. To understand what reportedly brought this man to his knees, the viral narrative rewinds just a few minutes, setting the stage for the divine bombshell. The panel had been a warm and engaging conversation between Mel Gibson, the visionary director behind The Passion of the Christ, and Jonathan Roumie, the face of Jesus for a new generation. The moderator had just posed a seemingly innocent question to Jonathan. "Jonathan," he began, "you've spoken about how your role as Jesus has deepened your own prayer life. Can you share an example?" In the story, a subtle change comes over Roumie. He grows still, and a look of deep internal conflict crosses his face. He doesn't answer right away. He finally leans into the microphone, his voice quieter now, filled with a trembling reverence. "This is a difficult question," he begins slowly, "but something is compelling me to share something that I believe is not from me." He pauses, taking a deep breath. "For several weeks," Roumie reportedly continued, "I have been carrying a message that I was given in prayer. I was told it was a message from our Lord Jesus and that it was for someone else." He then turns his gaze fully on Mel Gibson, whose expression is one of intense, unblinking curiosity. This is the moment the fictional story pivots from a panel discussion to a divine appointment. "Mel," he says, his voice trembling, "this message is for you." Jonathan Roumie reportedly closes his eyes for a second before continuing, the words flowing as if from another source. "The Lord says, 'My son, the warrior, I have seen you fight in the shadows. I have seen you wrestle with the story I have placed in your heart. Why do you doubt the gift I have given you?" In the tale, Gibson's stoic expression begins to crumble. It's the shock of recognition, the look of a man hearing his most private internal struggles spoken aloud by another. Roumie's voice, now flowing with a gentle but powerful cadence, goes on. "The centurion at the foot of the cross, his story of conversion is the key. It is a story of your own redemption, and you are the one I have chosen to tell it. Do not be afraid of the scale of the task. Your resources are not your own. They are mine to be given as they are needed." A single tear reportedly traces a path down Mel Gibson's cheek. The message is perfectly tailored, hitting every one of Gibson's known pressure points. Roumie delivers the final part of the message, his voice filled with a profound tenderness. "I have not called you to comfort, my son. I have called you to courage." The story of the centurion is not just a film, It is a weapon of light against the darkness. So pick up your tools. The legions of heaven are with you. Build it. I will provide. As those last words, "I will provide," echo in the hall, it happens. The final straw. His strength seems to drain from his body, his knees give way, and he collapses, a profound and public surrender in response to a message he had supposedly just received from God himself. It's a masterful piece of storytelling designed for maximum emotional and spiritual impact. To truly grasp why this fictional story would have such a stunning effect on millions, you have to understand the very real context that the narrative is built upon. This isn't just a random story. For many, it feels like a divine appointment because it is so expertly woven with threads of truth. The central factual pillar holding up this entire narrative is Mel Gibson's long-documented desire to create a follow-up to The Passion of the Christ. For years, he has spoken about wrestling with this immense project, which is set to focus on the resurrection. He has confirmed the title will be The Resurrection of the Christ, and has described the project in epic, almost mystical terms. In one interview, he called the film an acid trip, suggesting it will explore not just the events on Earth, but the spiritual warfare in other realms, including the fall of the angels. This is not a simple sequel. It's a project of monumental theological and cinematic ambition that Gibson has been developing with writer Randall Wallace for the better part of a decade. This real-life creative and spiritual struggle provides the perfect fertile ground for the fictional story to plant its seed. The circulating story claims Gibson had been praying for months for a clear, undeniable sign to proceed, feeling paralyzed by the weight of the project and the controversies of his past. He needed a messenger, a word from God to erase his doubts. This is the emotional core of the fantasy, the idea that even a figure as formidable as Gibson has moments of profound doubt and needs divine reassurance. Meanwhile, the narrative positions Jonathan Roumie, humbled by the global impact of The Chosen, as the other half of this divine equation. The story claims that during prayer, Jonathan received the clear, specific message with the instruction, "This is for Mel." This detail is what transforms the encounter from a chance meeting into a preordained event. Jonathan is depicted as being shaken by this. He knew Gibson, but not intimately. To deliver such a direct message felt incredibly bold. So he waited, praying that God would open a door. Then, the fictional invitation comes for both men to speak on the same panel. The path was clearing. When the moderator asks that final, fateful question about prayer, the narrative presents it as the moment the door is flung wide open. The stage was set, the audience was there to witness, and a weary warrior was about to receive his marching orders directly from his king, via the one man on earth most famous for playing him. It's a perfect storm of symbolism, where the real-life missions of two of the most influential figures in Christian media converge in one explosive, miraculous, and entirely imagined moment. Back on that fictional stage, a new strength seems to flow into Mel Gibson. Supported by Jonathan, he grips the microphone, and the crowd leans in. What Jonathan just said. Gibson begins, his voice thick with emotion but steady. The words he just spoke are the verbatim answer to a prayer I have been praying for almost a year. A wave of gasps sweeps through the imaginary auditorium. I have been on my knees begging God for a sign so clear that I couldn't deny it. I have been wrestling with this project, paralyzed by doubt and fear. He gestures toward Jonathan. That man just delivered the Lord's answer directly to my heart. His vulnerability is the story's climax. I was afraid, he admits, his voice cracking. But that message, That message was a direct command. It was my marching orders. He then looks out at the audience, many of whom are now weeping with him. "And so I want you all to be my witnesses," he declares with newfound conviction. "As God is my witness, and with the encouragement he has sent me through my brother Jonathan, I will make this film. I will tell the story of the centurion. I will pick up my tools, and I will build it, trusting that he will provide." The room, as the story tells it, erupts into an explosion of joy and applause. They aren't just clapping for a movie announcement. They are celebrating a visible, powerful, spiritual breakthrough. Mel, now smiling through his tears, pulls Jonathan into a fierce embrace. Two brothers, united in a mission, now sealed in public. Of course, none of this happened. And yet, in a way, the ripple effect was very real. The story of that moment caught fire within faith communities online. It sparked countless conversations about hearing God's voice and the courage to act on faith. The imagined friendship between Gibson and Roumie became a celebrated model of Christian collaboration in a tough industry. For many who felt their own prayers were going unheard, the public nature of Gibson's fictional experience was a profound encouragement. The comments sections of these videos are filled with people sharing how the story, regardless of its origin, strengthened their faith and gave them hope. It functions as a modern parable, a story told to illustrate a spiritual truth. What many have taken from this powerful piece of modern folklore is a reminder that the desire for God to move, speak, and break through our doubt and fear is a universal one. This story, whether fact or fiction, has clearly touched a nerve in the hearts of millions. What does this account stir in you? Let us know in the comments. When have you wished for a clear sign, or felt the need for a messenger to give you courage? Share your thoughts, because your testimony could be the encouragement someone else needs to hear today. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you never miss these incredible explorations of faith in action. The dramatic, imagined encounter between Mel Gibson and Jonathan Roumie will be remembered online not for the spectacle of a man collapsing, but for what it symbolized: a total surrender to a higher calling. It was a raw display of humility, a laying down of arms, and a testament to the power of an obedient yes. While the event itself is a fabrication, its emotional truth is undeniable. It's a story crafted to meet a deep need within the faithful, a need to see heroes struggle, to witness miracles, and to believe that God is still intimately involved in the lives of his people. The story isn't about the fall, it's about the rising of a renewed spirit, a creative purpose, and the faith of thousands who witnessed what they believe to be proof that God is still in the business of breakthroughs, even if it's through the power of a well-told tale.